Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe and he's Robbie Earle, and today we'll recap the final round of matches before Championship Sunday. Of course, we'll get into the relegation picture and talk about the games involving Villa and Watford from Tuesday and the race for the Champions League. I mean, it's going to be some Championship Sunday games involving those teams we're on today. And one of those, Robbie Earle, was Liverpool at Anfield playing against Chelsea. And I want to start with what the broadcast ended with, and that celebration at Anfield and what it looked like, what it felt like. I mean, wow. The Premier League did a really good job, Rob. We know, of course, it will never be the same without fans, particularly at Anfield, particularly after a 30-year wait to see them lift the Premier League trophy for the first time ever. But I tell you what, it was still pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it was stunning, mate. And I thought, I agree with you in terms of the Premier League. They did a really good job. And difficult circumstances, we know, with the COVID and the pandemic and social distancing and all that. But it was as intimate as it could be. It was group team generated as it could be. It showed me and taught me a few things about this group of players, the togetherness, Rob, the way the manager worked with them. Listen, Jurgen Klopp's got a smile to light up a room. But the smile with the pride that he had when Jordan Henderson lifted the trophy, when the players were celebrating, it was almost like the proud father looking at his kids. And I said on air, he's a manager for players and he's a manager for fans. I can imagine Liverpool fans love him, Rob. Just how he is, his personality, how he talks, the energy he brings to the football club. And for three reasons, I wrote down it's a special thing. It's a special trophy because it's the first Premier League one for Liverpool. It was done in a special place. It was done in the Kop, a special place in the stadium. And it was done by a very special person, so Kenny Dalglish, who was the last winner of that trophy. So for a number of reasons, Rob, the fans weren't there. And of course, we missed something. We as broadcasters have missed it, one of the great days in football, to see Liverpool's fans celebrate that trophy. But it was special in a number of ways still for me.
Yeah, and it's that day of the season, Rob, where I just look at it and think, wow, how great must it be to be one of those players? Now, we're very lucky to work with Graham Rousseau and Lee Dixon that have been lucky enough to feel that feeling. And if it's one thing I'll always be envious of, is that feeling. So when each player, Rob, at the start of the presentation went up and picked up their medal, and you'll see your teammates that are cheering you onto the stage. And as you said, Kenny Dalglish, the guy that's been an incredible legend for this club, and what he'd done over the Hillsborough disaster, Rob, and all those difficult, dark times, for him to be given out those medals, I thought was fantastic. And those players' faces walking onto that stage, I thought was an absolute picture. Loved it. Absolutely.
And it brought together the togetherness of the group. It brought together what they've been through, what they've done. We still have to remember the start of Project Restart. I mean, it was phenomenal football they were playing. And I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we'll listen to a little bit later in the podcast, in terms of just saying, we blew some teams away. And you sometimes forget. They did, Rob. Good teams. Liverpool blew them away to win this title.
Yeah, they did. And he was one player that I enjoyed most of all coming onto the stage, Rob. I don't know whether you noticed.
Yeah.
He was like a little kid with a toy. He got his. I really enjoyed that because he got his little medal. He studied it. He was in Wonderland, Fantasyland. Just all his dreams coming true. I think right there when you think about his story, his age.
Yeah.
I mean...
But he was watching the team, wasn't he? He was watching the 2014 team with the slip, and he's a fan, and he's from the area, and his family love it. And, it's the one thing that he knows that football club has been desperate for over the years. They've won Champions League, and they've been great. But the big one, the one they really wanted, and he's been part of it, and has been a huge part of it, by the way, in terms of just what he does on a football pitch. And gives hope to all of the kids who maybe join Liverpool in the system, all of the kids out there playing that, you start off at 7, 8 years of age in a football club and your dreams can come true.
Yeah, and the celebration, the lift and the fireworks and the lights, of course, I think they really went for it, Rob, knowing they had to do something special, because it's kind of weird, but it didn't feel weird at all. And you got to love the way that the team and the staff all there, excited, singing, champagne was out, and all the celebrations, all the pictures and all the interviews and stuff that happened afterwards. I just thought it was really good, mate. I thought it was really good. Credit to the Premier League for putting on such a nice show. And I was on social media, you were in the studio, I was at home today watching it, and a lot of nice kind of comments about how it went off and how well it was done. And of course, seeing all that Liverpool team genuinely, absolutely thrilled to be there, even though, Rob, they've known for a long time they were going to win it. And they've won it a while now as well, but it still looked and felt really genuine.
Yeah, that's what it came across to me, that, they've won it for a while. Maybe performances haven't been so great up until this point, and it could have been a bit of an anticlimax, just to, well, here's a trophy, but it was none of that. And as they said, I think there'll be a few sore heads tomorrow morning in Liverpool, quite rightly, that this team should enjoy the moment, enjoy what they've done together. And you talked about Trent Alexander. He spoke with our Lee Dixon after the game, and I thought it was fascinating, just some of the things that he said.
Stop smiling. I can't. You look absolutely exhausted, are you?
I'm physically, mentally, emotionally drained, I think. It's early, it's still the start of the night, so I'm sure I'll get worse as the night goes on. There might be a few tears, but to be able to be a part of something so special in the club's history, and we've won it the Liverpool way, which is always important for us, and I think I'm just so proud to be a part of such a special club.
You're clearly playing a different fullback game than I used to. It's just not the game I recognise right now. But the way you've played this season, for me, you've epitomised everything good about Liverpool Football Club.
Thank you.
Did you feel the weight of history just lifted a little bit when you picked that trophy up?
Massively, I think. As a local lad, as a player, everyone knows that this was the one that everyone wanted. I think last season we celebrated the Champions League amazingly. And we were made up to win it, but I think as a club, I think we all would have said we would have swapped it for the Premier League. It's the one that we've all wanted. This is the one that I've always dreamed of, and this is the one that everyone will remember. So to be a part of something so special and to finally win it and cross that line, because we've come so close so many times, been agonising for the fans. I remember being here the 2014 season and coming so close and ending in disappointment. Last season as well, being a part of a historic season, but we couldn't cross the line. It almost felt like it just wouldn't happen. We've blown teams away this season, and we've done it in such a special way.
I don't want to be a bringer of bad news, but you've got to go and do it again next season now.
I know. I think I had a chat with Hendo a few weeks ago, and he said next season will be even harder because we've got a target on our back. We felt that probably this season in the Champions League. When you're the holder of the trophy, you want to, as the opposition, you put more focus into the game because you want it more. And I think next season we need to go again. We can't just be satisfied with one trophy because we want to defend it, and I think that's important to do so. And I think why settle for one when you can go and have two in 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shame in some ways, Rob. It was right at the end of the broadcast.
Yeah,
and I hope a lot of the fans stayed to listen because it was a little quieter, the music died down. And again, same kind of theme. He was so proud, and Lee Dixon's first words were like, can you take that smile off your face? I mean, his beaming smile still seems so thrilled about where he is. I just hope that he can somehow take it in, Rob, because I think we've all had big days, big games, big celebrations, and you don't really take it in. I hope he has. I'm sure he has. He seems a really smart, intelligent guy, spoke really well of his passion and what it meant to him and about kicking on next season as well. In some ways, that was my favourite bit of the celebration, really. Rob, the presentation was hearing him speak at the end with Lee, two fullbacks. Brilliant. It was a brilliant conversation. I sent a message to Lee Dixon saying, wow, that was really, really good to listen to.
Absolutely. And two fullbacks, and Lee talked about it, from different eras, played a different way, did it in very different styles. And, Lee went on to win 3 titles during his Arsenal, 1 in each decade. And hopefully Trent will go on to win as many, if not more, if he continues. But and to me, Rob, the thing that came across was there was an emotion with Trent that at some point will come out. At some point, he almost said, it's early in the night and, as things sink in. But it's going to sink in and it's going to have an effect on him. And quite rightly, for, what he represents at that football club, really, I think it is the thing. A local boy who's playing in that team.
It just means more... it's got to mean more to him, Rob, than some of the other players, doesn't it? It just naturally it does. Also Jordan Henderson and him saying that it's kind of it's a dream come true. He dreamt about winning the Premier League trophy. That's why he went to Liverpool. And to see him do it, again, it was similar to the Champions League where he's screaming yes and ripping the trophy up into the air. I just, for some people, you can absolutely see it means the world to them. But in particular, of course, it means a lot to all of the players, but just some of them, it's like, wow, that's a really special moment. And I just thought it was really well done, Rob. Lovely to see it. Totally deserved. What a magnificent team, and the way that they play. And it kind of links us nicely, Rob, to the game, because what a treat, what a gift that was to everybody watching Premier League Live today, because that game against Chelsea was amazing.
I think it's important that we say, and Henderson mentioned it, Klopp mentioned it, I think Virgil van Dijk mentioned it on air, just to say there will be a day for the fans. Fans will get their time, their celebration, because I know, the people who didn't go to the ground and stayed safe and watched it and celebrated it will be feeling there was a little piece missing. And I just feel it's important at the right time. That City will party and celebrate that Premier League title. You're right. But moving to the game then. We had a game, my friend. 8 goals, all sorts going on. 2 managers falling out on the side a little bit. Christian Pulisic coming on and giving us a little cameo of what he's become now and how important he could be to Chelsea moving forward. Let's talk about the game, Rob, because I thought for 20 minutes it was pretty even. Chelsea, I thought, did okay. And then... loose ball in midfield. Naby Keita comes on and smashes one that Kepa can get nowhere near. And then the trend of the game was set.
Yeah, it was. And it was, the trend was quality. From all sides, from all goals, from assisting passes and crosses to Trent's free kick, to Wijnaldum's volley, to like you said, Naby Keita bursting through midfield on a mistake by Willian and smashing it off the top, underside of the crossbar. It just set a light at that point. And I'm sure Klopp at some point said, "Come on, guys, if we're picking the trophy up, let's not have any kind of disappointments or any kind of little bit regrets. Let's go out and win the game." And I'll say it again. I've said it on a previous pod, Rob. I absolutely love watching Liverpool when they're at their best, and they've got that energy, Rob, and they're combining and they're moving and that midfield. And I think it's such a great progression in football that we've seen, Rob, from the heavy metal stuff to like tonight, where they can rotate the ball around the back and Van Dijk can ping a few crossfield balls. Midfield players can get turned. Those strikers make those movements. Firmino scoring a goal at Anfield, his first Premier League goal at Anfield at home this season for him was great. And a brilliant ball in for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then Chelsea that absolutely played with an intensity and a focus on needing to get the point they need to finish in the top 4. And we saw that later on, Rob. Got to say, I was disappointed with the front three that started for Chelsea: Giroud, Willian and Mason Mount. Now, it's not often we say that.
It didn't really get going at all.
Didn't get going. I know it's difficult maybe as Liverpool early stages of the game, but there were moments when the opportunities to do things and they just didn't. Now the front three were changed for the others that came on. Tammy Abraham, Hudson-Odoi, all the young kids and Christian Pulisic, and that front three lit it up. Were fantastic when they came on, and Pulisic's move for that assist
for Abraham.
For Tammy Abraham was brilliant, and just a great game of football.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I didn't think about it till after the game, and we're looking through. And from Liverpool's point of view, 5 goals, 5 different goal scorers, no Mane, no Salah. Which at home is like, really? And Moyes trying to get the golden boot. I think after he's mentioned that he's still a bit disappointed.
Well, we said that. We said he's shooting on sight, and he obviously, he wants a bit of that, doesn't he?
He loves that golden boot. Now, I don't mind that if that's sort of healthy and that's what's going to focus him and get his attention. But goals from different parts of the pitch is good for Liverpool. As you say, when I thought they showed Chelsea a couple of times when we really put our foot on the gas, we're good. We're a little bit better than you. We're a little bit. We've got another level than you've got, and I thought that's where you need to get to. That was a little lesson for Chelsea.
Yeah, it's a good point, Rob. It just sense they're very grooved in what they're doing, and when they raise that intensity, they've got another speed to go to. Basically, Chelsea have done really well, and they can play with some high energy at times. But the high energy with the quality of the Sadio Manes and the Mo Salahs is just the difference. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's a special talent, Rob. He's a special talent in what he's doing at the moment. And the football was great. That's 55 points from a possible 57 points at home this season. Yeah. Just outstanding form. They've won every game apart from one where they drew. And again, it was just a bit of a Liverpool masterclass. But I think that's the result of quality, repetition, development, everything that you saw in that game.
Need to aim for in the next couple of seasons, isn't it? That's what they need to try and get to. Still think defensively, Rob, like the fifth goal for Chelsea, for Liverpool, worries me if I'm Chelsea. Because it was, again, another situation where it's a Chelsea free kick, bent into the box, Liverpool break. Jorginho's attempt to stop Andy Robertson was ridiculous in terms of a midfield player who's got to defend. Now, we know Kante, if he's in there, it's completely different. But similar to the West Ham goal, Rob, when they were on top of the game, security in certain situations, somebody who takes control of it for them, or the team take control and say at 4-3, Chelsea could have nicked a point out of that. It was possibly there to nick a point. They looked like they might get a fourth goal. And then a quick counter-attack. Yes, great quality from Liverpool. Those are the kind of things, Rob, that I keep seeing with Chelsea. 54. You can't be a top side conceding 54 goals. You can't be a top side losing 12 games, Rob, in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's the most in the top half of the league, isn't it?
Yeah, most in the top half of the league, More goals than Palace, I think it is.
Yeah. Well, that's the continued issue for Frank Lampard's team. And, they still need a point, Rob. They still need a point. They play Wolves at the Bridge, which on Sunday, which is I'm telling you, it just feels like dangerous, nervy. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's new territory for the manager, Frank Lampard, let alone some of the younger players, Rob, of handling that pressure. How do they approach the game? How does Frank Lampard? Does he rev him up? Does he try to calm them down? Yeah. We've got an incredible Championship Sunday, the best that we've ever had in our 6-7 years now. And the Chelsea game against Wolves and Leicester Man United, which is almost like a Champions League playoff, is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic stuff. And let's just, I got the scenarios, my friend. Now, I think they're right.
Too much time on your hands, that's your problem. Got too much time on your hands with
well, it's exactly right. So this is, and to be fair, I think this is right. So Chelsea, win or draw, they're in.
Win or draw, they're in, yeah. So it's in their hands. It's in their hands.
Yeah. Or lose, and Man United beat Leicester, and they're still
in. They go in as fourth.
Yeah.
Leicester, because
And so we'll get to, so Leicester win and they're in.
Yeah.
Or draw.
And they could.
And Chelsea lose.
Yeah, could be in with a draw,
And Man United win, draw or win, and they're in.
A point's enough for United, they're in.
Yeah, or they can lose as long as Chelsea lose.
Yeah.
So
go in as fourth,
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody
listening. Two scenarios, because as the games are going to be playing out, as every goal's going in, we're going to be going crazy on Sunday.
Well, we just need a reliable live table. Live table, whether it's on my phone or a website or something. There's some smart people out there that we're doing live tables. I hope they're accurate, because when the goals are going in, they're all at the same time. Our heads will be exploding on that big old screen behind our set, where we'll have 10 games going on. I've got it in writing now, mate, so I can look down and reference it when things are going off.
I'm going off the field. I'll allow you to do scenarios. Let's talk about the other team in there, Manchester United.
Yep.
1-1 with West Ham. How did you see this one, Rob?
Interesting, really interesting game, Rob. And it's what they. I'm talking United now. It's just of course, in certain times, certain moments, they look unstoppable, and they've been brilliant. And Mason Greenwood again scores a really great goal. He's like, in golf, Rob. There's golfers that are renowned for their ball striking. Their technique. They strike a lovely golf ball. He strikes a lovely football, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, is there any time where he shoots where he doesn't get it sweet?
Sweet off his foot, and it pings off his foot.
It pings off his foot, both feet. It really hits. I mean, every time he swings his foot to shoot, I'm like, this is going to go in. And another one, he dispatched the goal really well today. I just think at times, Rob, have they got to find some possession control? They seem to lose a little bit of control. Look at the second half against West Ham. I'm like, this is kind of even.
By the way.
No, this is even. And West Ham looked to be the better side in periods of time. Now, time, coaching, chemistry, understanding, repetitions. But when you've got Bruno Fernandes and you've got Paul Pogba and you've got enough footballers, why aren't they controlling the game, Rob, more to then feed the front players to do their things? It's a bit sporadic.
The supply line was slow. I thought Pogba looked a bit, I wouldn't say leggy is the wrong word, just a little bit, not sharp, like doing things sharp. When Kevin De Bruyne passes you the ball gets properly passed. Yeah. When you do it, you have to take a good touch and you probably bang it on just as quick.
Yeah.
I don't see that with Pogba a little bit. And I know with different players, I'm not comparing the two, but that instigation of pace on that first pass, I don't think comes that well. Fernandes has not quite been at the same level over the last couple of weeks as we saw when he first came in. And so I just feel like the supply line hasn't been as good to that front three. And it's slowed down. It's bogged down a little bit. And as you say, that control doesn't seem as commanding as we see with Man City.
Other teams.
And Liverpool when they're on top.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know the strengths of the team. We haven't got to be here now talking about the ability of the front 4 or 5 players. No. Another little thing I noticed today, Rob, again, and maybe it's nitpicking a little bit, I still feel with Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood in this system that their lack of real desire to come back and help defensively is going to hurt. The system that they play, you're leaving Pogba and Matip in midfield as a 2 on their own. If those wide players stay high, what I want to say, the point I want to make is, I think ultimately, this is my opinion, that to get the best out of the front players of Manchester United, a 4-3-3 is probably going to be best, because it enables Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood to play as those wide scoring strikers that we see with Man City and we see with Liverpool. When you're playing a 4 in midfield, or 4-2-3-1, very similar to 4-4-2, whatever you want to call it, they have to come back. And that takes away from their staying high and really doing some damage. An extra man in midfield.
I'm honest, Rob, and I do get your point, because it's a valid point, especially when you've got wingers like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robinson, who are fullbacks who will come on. But I don't particularly want Marcus Rashford defending for me. I don't want to keep him as high as we can. If I'm playing next to him, I'm almost going, Marcus, stay up a bit.
Yeah.
And I'll filter across and deal, because his danger is going to be at that end of the pitch.
So you can do that with a 4-3-3, can't you? You've just got to, whether you can get away with a Matic holding and a Bruno and a Pogba in a 3-man midfield, which will be brilliant going forward. Yeah. Again, you might.
Pogba's going to have to do a bit of work in that.
Yeah. But that would enable the front 3 to stay higher, like we see with City and Liverpool. And I think ultimately, because United have got fullbacks that like to get forward and can cover that gap up to those wide players. But it just mean Greenwood and Rashford can focus on what they're doing best at, which is receiving, staying high, being full of energy, because they haven't had to run back and do the damage going forward. I don't know. I don't know whether we'll see that next season. I just felt that a little bit.
The shape, and it depends how you're going to fit. There is an argument. Sometimes you can't play Pogba and Fernandes in that side, or you've got to play Fernandes one of the wide positions and maybe get a McTominay in,
to different things. To change your balance. Absolutely.
Jose used to do at Chelsea. Sometimes it was 1 and 2. Sometimes he'd change that 1 and put 2 in there and 1 footballer in front of them. And that's what maybe the league might need to be. Manchester United might have to be a little less entertaining, but a little bit more cutthroat.
In certain games. Certain games.
Against other teams where they're going to dominate possession. But it's an interesting point. So United now go to the KP. with it in their hands, and Ollie made a good point. I thought it was a good point that, you know, they were looking on the outside of things. It's now in their hands. It's first time, I think, since September they've been in the top 4. So, I mean, he said, we'll take going to Leicester's ground and having to get a result to get us in the Champions League. You okay with that? You with Ollie?
Yeah, I think, I'm with Ollie, because I didn't think they were going to do it, Rob, this season.
Yeah.
I didn't think United were going to. The Bruno Fernandes signing has changed everything, really. I thought they'd be 5th or 6th. I can't remember but I had them outside the top 4. Yeah. They can go to Leicester and do it. I mean, another fantastic, interesting game.
Cool, yeah.
With this kind of, you know, he's an inexperienced manager on against Solskjaer. He is, obviously, at this level. Mm-hmm. What a game that's going to be. Do you know what, Rob? I just want to, before we talk about those matchups, I just do want to give a quick shout out to West Ham United, right? Because they're safe now.
Yeah.
And you know, David Moyes should stay on. I think there's been enough evidence, my friend, over the last few weeks that this team is changing. It's evolving. You look at. I just looked at the team today, Rob, and I made a little note of Souček, Jared Bowen, Mikel Antonio, Declan Rice. It's a different looking team with more energy, more togetherness. Mm-hmm. I think he's done, a pretty good job. I know it wasn't always plain sailing. I know there's been some nightmares, but I tell you what, instead of trying to find the next big thing and trying to placate the talent he's got there, the Lanzinis and Felipe Andersons and stuff that haven't done it, I think that the club should stick with him now and give an opportunity to build on his foundation and keep it going. I really do.
It's a bit like with Ollie. He's possibly deserved the right to have a go. But to do that, Rob, he needs the full backing of the ownership group, and he needs to work that squad into a squad that's more suited to what he wants. So if he doesn't want Felipe Anderson and Lanzini and some of these guys, then can we trade them? Can we get money for them? Can we swap them? Whatever, and bring in the type of group that's going to work for David Moyes. That's what West Ham have to decide. And I don't have an awful lot of optimism in the ownership group that they'll necessarily do that. I just think they might go down a panic mode.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've been here before. Yeah. And last time they went in a different direction with Pellegrini, and you know, I really hope that he gets the opportunity to continue. He's got another year.
You know what? They look a decent team now. They look well.
Yeah, different team. Totally different.
Listen, if Sebastian Haller came in and thought he could get you 15 to 20 goals, you've still got Antonio who can play from any of the wide positions or underneath him, maybe with more Noble. Then Souček and Rice is a proper partnership.
Jared Bowen's done great.
Good, pacey, runs at people direct. A nice balance, the one on the left. I like the kid Ben Johnson at right back today. Looks like he's a decent defender. Diop, is one of my favourites. We ain't too far off a top 10 team.
Yeah. All right, mate. So sorry about that, but back onto the Champions League, mate. Let's just try and fast forward a little bit to Sunday. And what do we think? I mean, what do we think? Chelsea at home to Wolves, Leicester at Manchester United. We know the scenarios. We know what they've all got to do.
Manchester United win the game. I think Manchester United win the game. I think Chelsea draw the game.
Yeah. So, see, I think Chelsea definitely get the point they need.
Yeah.
The United game, I don't know.
I think they win.
I mean, they only need a point, don't they? They
win, yeah. I'm looking at the back possible 2 or 3. Wes Morgan, Johnny Evans, and
you're right. You're right.
Front 3, and I'm thinking.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Soonchu's still suspended. United need a draw. They've just got to be a bit careful. But you'd expect Chelsea
and Barnes and Perez who can make things happen a little bit.
I agree. I think Chelsea and United get it done. I think Leicester, unfortunately for them, will just drop out. But we'll see. That's going to be a fun time. Let's talk about games that happened early on Tuesday. Yeah.
Watford, Manchester City, and I know you were working on this one. I was watching this one, and Watford.
Oh, blimey. Well, so I kind of liked what they did, Rob. What Mullins did. He had a bit of a game plan going on. I did a little bit of analysis on our air about. He had this 3 across midfield, but they're really spread out so they could help in the wide areas, is what City like to attack. And it worked great for 31 minutes. And then Raheem Sterling found a bit of space and popped it in the top corner. And that was probably it, Rob. You know, you can imagine they've worked on this for a day. Yeah. They're all in. They're all in on it. It looks okay. As soon as a goal goes in, a bit of a pack of cards. And then, you know, City quality. I mean, obviously City were up for it. They were hurt over the FA Cup loss over the weekend.
Yeah.
Sterling gets a penalty. Great save from Foster, but he knocks it in, and it's kind of game over. And, you know, you just looking forward, Rob, in terms of the spirit and what's happened to that football club. Yeah. And I know a couple of things. I know one thing is that team, and Ben Foster said it, has got crazy low confidence right now. Given the season they've had, given they had a manager that got them out of trouble and has just been fired, which spreads crazy panic around the dressing room that, wow, our owner doesn't think he's any good. Does he think anybody can coach us? I mean, how bad must we be? You get a guy that's come in, Rob Mullins, has done it before. He doesn't look he's not a big personality. He isn't going to give anybody a big lift. And he has got to try and find a way to get a result in that last game. I mean, I know I'd want in charge, and it'd be Nigel Pearson. I want to look at Nigel Pearson talking to me in that dressing room on Sunday to find a way to get a result. A man that's literally been there on the final day and got heroic results to get out of relegation issues. So I don't know what they're thinking, Rob. And I know it's let's just go to the games again. So they're away at Arsenal. Arsenal, Arsenal. The only hope they've got is that Arsenal are thinking about the FA Cup final.
You know what Arsenal's thinking about the FA Cup after the recent result is every way that Mikel Arteta's saying his place is up for grabs at this FA Cup. I've got to tell you where I stand with Watford. And I've been this way. And again, I'll pay reference to the network and the Pozzo family and the ownership of 2 or 3 clubs around Europe, and they work. Get all that and have introduced some good players to the Premier League. Yeah. But do you know what it smacks to me of, Rob? And I've got to be honest with you, I was saying arrogance. Arrogant owners who thought were safe, who were in a safe position and made a decision that to put Hayden Mullins in this position, I think is at the very least unprofessional, and if not more, kind
cruel.
Cruel, yeah. Hayden Mullins shouldn't have to face this situation and possibly take a team down. And man, that when Ben Foster comes out and tells you that this crazy low comment, when Ben Foster, of all the people who you talk about, all the people who are positive, tells you that, told me they've gone, mate.
Well, we've had different views on Watford, Rob, and it's been good to go back and forth over the last few seasons. And you know, I've been more understanding with the philosophy. And it's interesting, actually. There was a guy on the radio the other day that does the Watford podcast, and he kind of said a similar thing, to be fair. He said, listen, people are hammering our football club. They're hammering our owners, and our own fans are. But let's just remember where we were when they took over. And what we've enjoyed over the last seasons of Premier League. They were struggling financially and football-wise in the Championship when the Pozzos took over. They got them promoted, and they've been there, and they've had some good players come in and play some really good football and had some good times. And I've been more okay than you with a fresh manager coming in quite a lot to freshen things up, to bring his style in, because we understand that the recruitment's not done by the manager. He is literally coming in to speak, to coach, to pick the team, to manage, on you go. And if it's not going well, they'll pick somebody else. But when that leads to farcical firings like Gracia at the start of the season after a tiny amount of games, and then it crosses the line to like, wow, really? And if it results in relegation, then, you know, the people that don't believe in it are obviously right.
You have to accept it. And you only can take so much from what you read and reports and whatever. And I never get into too much dressing room and whatever. But it was reported that some of the decisions Nigel's made, the ownership group, and I think the technical director were unhappy with. Now, if you're going to employ Nigel Pearson to keep you in the league, you give him that amount of games, you let him make those decisions, and if he keeps you in the league, he stays on, or his contract's in, and if he doesn't, he knows the consequence of it. But to choose a guy, then to be picking at his decisions, you didn't like this left back, you didn't like this, you didn't like that, and then sack him with 2 games to go because you probably think you're safe, and all of a sudden now you're not looking so safe. I just think smacks of a real lack of of understanding of the situation and understanding what Nigel Pearson has brought to you.
Has done. I know. And Nigel Pearson, Rob, was brought in, was a good appointment to paper over the nightmare cracks that they created in their hirings and firings. They bring in the absolutely right guy.
The bottom of the table in December, 22nd of December, bottom of the table.
Yeah.
When he left the bubble club, they were in safe. They were out bottom three.
It's just beggars belief that with 2 games left, and but they've won 2 games since lock. I mean, I know it hasn't been brilliant, but they've got 6 points. I think 7 points, which is more than the other teams. And yet, after a couple of bad games, there's a massive panic up and a switch. So, I think Kyle in our broadcast said, "This is, what a horrific decision. They deserve to go down. They might. They might go down." That Aston Villa result, Robbie. That Aston Villa result.
The 1-0 against Arsenal,
It's just shaken Watford and the Potso family to the core.
Oh, absolutely. We'll quickly talk about that. And Trezeguet getting the goal and your mate Dean Smith. And they've been better, Rob, defensively. I mean, they've had a bit of luck. They've had a couple of foot. They're working harder to stop crosses. They're picking up better in the box. They're blocking shots and not being so open as we saw the team early season. I mean, it was interesting. I heard Jack Grealish talk about that. They did a lot of Zoom calls and talked about how they're going to get better collectively in the defensive situation. Then they come back, Project Restart, and he said, we started to do the work. And he said, we're maybe not as attacking now as we were, but we've got a better understanding of defence. And guess what? As we've said, you start getting it right at the back, things start to happen for you.
Yeah, fair play. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's the main reason. Defensively, they haven't been perfect, of course. And they have a philosophy for attacking, but when they needed to be tight, and we've had a go at them before, Rob, about they're trying harder and they've been better, but trying to shut up shop when they really need to has been a problem. Now, maybe they caught Arsenal on a good time to play them. They had an off day, with the celebrations from the FA Cup. Maybe it was a good time to play them. But the spirit has always remained with Aston Villa, Rob. And Villa's been a team that I predicted to go down. And over recent weeks and months, I've said, you know what? I still think they're going to go down. In my mind, is Dean Smith my mate? Yeah. And also, as I might be wrong about this one, because they still have a spirit. They still have togetherness. And to a tip of the cap to my mate Dean Smith, Rob. During the game, during the goal going in, and afterwards, he has maintained a composure and a professionalism as a coach that we don't often see. No. There's always a sense of emotional panic and like outrage, or from a lot of the managers down there. He has been very calm and cool throughout. And I got to think that's translated to the players. He's got JT to help him. I tell you, afterwards he was like, "It's a good result. We played well. We deserved it." He's been blooming even keel through a difficult season. And he's a fan. He's a fan as well, of course.
Give him a chance. You're right. His personality. A couple of times I've been a bit critical of Eddie Howe, because you look across and it's all written in his face and his body language. Dean Smith held himself when some difficult times, some late disappointments. The Everton goal a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, like to say. But he didn't allow it to drag him too much down. His face didn't drop too much. He kept talking about what we did well and, we'll learn lessons. And he's been good. He looks to me like if I was playing for him, Rob, I'd believe in him. I believe that he thinks we can get out of it. And I think that's as big as tactics and whatever you're going to do down there. You've got to believe the guy who's leading you can get you out of the trouble.
Yeah, and back to that Grealish interview, he said things that I'd written down. Game management and defensive display were the things he talked about, and that's really so important. And just do you know what I was a bit. It's the way it is, mate, and we know it the way it is. But when that final whistle blew and that Sweet Caroline started to ring out around that stadium, I just wish I could open my eyes, close my eyes, open them, and the fans would have been there to be bouncing to Dean Smith's Aston Villa, given that result and given what that means in the fight against relegation. It's just a shame, because the emotion would have been off the charts. It was a fantastic night.
In there supporting that team, because that's what they do at Aston Villa. So you're dead right, mate. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, my friend. We've got Championship Sunday. We've got 3 teams for 2 spots to go down to the Championship. Bournemouth are away at Everton. Have to win and need favours. Arsenal Arsenal play Watford. Watford need a draw, possibly a draw.
Watford needs a better. I've got it. You're all over the place, mate. Let me go through the
scenarios.
So I got it written down because my head's going to be all over the place on Sunday. Watford have got a better Aston Villa's result.
Correct.
Aston Villa have got a better Watford result, or if they can draw, as long as Watford draw, and Bournemouth have got to win, and Watford and Villa have both got to lose.
It's a better result. Obviously, it's about goals scored as well. So not a win and a win. It could be about how many goals you score.
Well, just got better. Yeah, got better the result. The result. Yeah, I mean, listen, it is flipping a little bit complicated. I've written down here some scores for the games.
Well, you never get scores right on the.
Well, probably not, but it might help us. Here we go. Watford at Arsenal. With what Arsenal will react, and Watford's chins on the deck.
Yeah.
Arsenal 3, Watford 0. West Ham United against Aston Villa. Yeah. West Ham, by the way, as we've seen, are playing really well. By the way, they almost like don't want the season to end. Really good. So this is a very difficult game for Aston Villa. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1, Everton 0, Bournemouth 1.
Wow.
So Watford and Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth won, will be relegated. I just think Bournemouth will find a way to get something. But Villa, that draw, that point, I think will keep them up.
I think Villa get a draw at West Ham. I think Watford get beat at Arsenal. And I think Bournemouth get beat at Everton. Yeah.
It's the same result. It's the same thing, which is amazing. Yeah, which is amazing. So we both think that Villa are going to stay up. Yeah. And less than flipping 4 days ago, they were not favoured to do it.
And to me, that's one of the reasons why I think they go. I think that there's got to be a belief coursing through that team now. I mean, the goal, the header from Nketiah that hits the post, that comes back at Pepperine, that fumbles it, that jumps on it, that kisses the ball, kind of tells you, do you know what? Aston Villa. Keenan Davis goes through, misses one. I'm thinking, there's an equaliser coming here. You just know. I just feel sometimes.
And it nearly did.
It's written, mate.
Hey, I'll tell you something else, Rob, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah.
But what about the Sheffield United game with the ball that went over the line?
The ball over the line. Game changer.
Could be it. That could be it.
It's a game changer, my friend.
That could be the point. That could be the point that keeps them in the division. I mean, listen, of course, we don't know what happened in the game, but that little bit of fortune for Dean Smith is like, that could be a big old deal come Sunday afternoon.
Robbie Mustoe, we need to tip our caps before we go to Slaven Bilic and West Brom Albion. They are back in the Premier League. Couple of seasons out, but Slaven's eventually got them over the line. It was a little bit nervy at times, and they weren't always winning the games, but they've gone automatic promotion now with Leeds United, and leaves us Swansea, Cardiff, Brentford and Fulham fighting out playoffs. Yeah, listen, it was hard to watch everything today, but my understanding is that it was pretty crazy last day in the Championship. I think West Brom 2, QPR 2, Brentford was the team that had an opportunity, apparently, to do it. To win a game, to win the game. To find a way to get the result they needed to get up. They're now in the playoffs, and we've seen so many times that the team finishing third, it's been on a good run, it just misses out. It's such a disappointment they don't find a way through. We'll see. The playoffs are, and the first leg is on Sunday, Brentford versus Swansea and Cardiff versus Fulham. So two Welsh teams. Of who've come in late. I think they beat Nottingham Forest with late goals and somehow sneaked themselves in. And they're always the one. They always talk about the one that comes in late. The one that are buzzing. It's crazy, isn't it, about in terms of motivation and momentum and stuff. The second leg is on Wednesday and Thursday for those two games, and the final for the winners of those two over the two legs is on August the 4th. Yeah, so just after the FA Cup final, we then get the Championship final, which is always one of the biggest games in football. No fans will be there again, but always a good watch, mate. So we'll look forward to welcoming one of those four teams up into the Premier League, and at this stage, still don't quite know who's going down. It's been some week we've had in the Premier League this week, mate. Absolutely crazy football. It set us up. I tell you what, I'm so excited for Sunday. You don't even know. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal watching. It's got to be the best day we've had potentially in 7 years. I'm sure there's going to be thrills and spills and dramas and maths flipping calculations and algorithms going on all day. Well, to be honest, mate, we had a great trophy list. Liverpool actually got their hands on that trophy they've wanted for so long. Top 4 race is still on for Leicester, Man United and Chelsea, to be sure, of Champions League football. At the bottom end, I've called it a Royal Relegation Rumble, where it's 2 from 3, with probably Aston Villa just holding an advantage now in that big race of survival. So we'll be back on Championship Sunday. We'll wrap things up. We'll tie up all the loose ends and what's been a fascinating end of Project Restart and end of 2019-2020 seasons. What we might do as well, Mr. Mustoe, when we know how all the players in the Premier League will be awaiting this, we might have a couple of Robbie awards to hand out for those special performances. So 2 Robbie's awards to some special players during the course of the season. We'll try and get that in this week on Sunday, July 26th after Championship Sunday. If not, we'll do it on our next podcast as we go to the end of the season. But for now, as ever, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe together with his 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe and be healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.